Hello, and welcome to the Self-Care with Herbs segment of the Elder Tree podcast. I'm your host, Jess Bosker, naturopath, herbalist, and medicine maker. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the Banjalang people, the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Now, come along and join me each month for beautiful conversations with guests from across the country, exploring ways we can weave plant medicine into our days to enrich our experience of self-care, sharing routines, rituals, and recipes for elevating mind, body, and spirit.
Sitting in these fields of chamomile, like just sobbing, just the nervous system sort of response to that.
That was Jess Allan, sharing an experience where she connected deeply with chamomile. Jess is a herbalist, Bowen therapist, and the owner of Skin Doona Apothecary in Newcastle, New South Wales, where she manufactures a range of herbal and vibrational skincare. Having a deep love and connection to the natural world and an affinity for sensing and communicating emotional profiles, Jess followed her path into herbs and healing and has enjoyed experiencing the alchemy of people and plants for almost 20 years. During this episode, Jess shares how after feeling quite disconnected from the natural world during her early childhood, it was the school camps she experienced later in her youth where she spent time in the bush, hands in the earth, and felt her eyes open and her soul start to connect with the plants. Jess is a beautiful storyteller, and during our chat takes us on a special journey, sharing how she connects with individual plants on a deep level to create potent flower essences. She describes feeling disconnected and even skeptical after completing some introductory courses on bush flower essences, but being immersed in a nature philosophy course and meditating in the bush amongst the wildflowers helped facilitate a profound connection and a deeper knowing of flowers and plants. Jess's connection with herbs was deepened even further during a transformative experience on a medicinal herb farm in Tasmania. It was here that she really started to connect strongly with the herbs, understanding their vibrations and feeling a whole new world opening up, a sense of safety and belonging. Jess has been in deep motherhood over the past 10 years and shares how it's really easy to lose sight of self-care and that daily investment in ourselves. She describes the feeling many of us experience, that there is a bigger dream than just surviving each day. Hello and welcome to the podcast, Jess. It's really lovely to have you here today.
Thanks, Jess. I'm really excited to be chatting with you.
Yeah. So as you know, we're going to be talking all about self-care with herbs, how that looks for you, how it feels, how it might be difficult at times. But one of the first things I really like to do with guests when we begin a chat is find out from you where that first spark came about in terms of your interest in plant medicine. When we were chatting before we started recording, we spoke about how you had a really lovely connection with the natural world from an early age. And I was wondering if we could dive back into that to really explore how your relationship with plant medicine began.
Yeah. Look, my sort of childhood was a fairly barren landscape, really, in terms of the natural world. But I was always interested in creatures and digging and in the garden. And when I say the garden, there wasn't much of a garden, but just being outside. And I feel like my first connection to plant medicine would have been aloe vera. My granddad had lots and lots of aloe vera plants in his garden, and there was not much said about it, really. Like, he wasn't sharing all this great herbal knowledge with me or anything like that. That's just, the thing that is probably the earliest memory. And it's been a bit of a continuum, I guess. My granddad and his aloe vera plants, like I still use those today in a couple of my products. I strip them down and make the gel and and use those. So, yeah. In terms of other aspects of the natural world, I sort of grew up in a house that was quite void of anything natural. So I really sought that out. Probably later in life, I really found a deep connection to the earth. Yeah, and all of its wonders.
Yeah. And so how old were you when that really started to happen for you?
Probably school camps, primary school. Just being exposed to different aspects of nature, different elements, fire and dirt. My house wasn't very dirty. It was all very clean and so getting down in the dirt and in the rivers, canoeing and stuff like that, I think on school camps I really connected with that, and we did bush medicine walks and things like that. I remember little sparks firing inside of like, whoa, there's another way. Yes. There's another world. Yeah.
So that was in primary school that you were able to have your eyes open to bush medicine?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Up here, I'm in Newcastle, and not far north, there's the Leyland Brothers World replica of Uluru, and we did camps there. And I think the Leyland Brothers used to do shows of sort of travelling around the country, exploring the natural world. And yeah, that was the bush camp we did, and did bush medicine. And I remember them pointing out termites' nests and little seeds and different things. Yeah, I loved it. Loved it all.
So eyes were really started to open to the natural world after not really having that much exposure.
Yeah. And I still can't really believe the disconnect that I grew up in terms of no nature. Like my mum, she had a garden, she grew a few flowers, and my grandma had a garden, she grew roses. But yeah, no food, no herbs, like, yeah. Don't know how I've ended up here.
So when was it that you first started getting an interest in growing herbs and wildcrafting weeds and really connecting with the medicinal side of nature?
Sorry, was that when? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't until much later, when I was in my early 20s. I got into health and sort of nutrition first, I think, as a kind of doorway into natural medicine. Yeah, I think I was a kind of sickly kid, like, had a lot of headaches and never really felt very well. And finding out later there was a whole other world of food and nutrition as well that sort of was life-changing. That kind of was segue into then herbal medicine, because like what can I study here? What can I formally study to increase all this knowledge and build on this passion for nature? So yeah, I wasn't really doing any herbal medicine or plant medicine until my early 20s. And even then, like starting college, it was very black and white, evidence-based medicine. And it wasn't until I went to Pindari Herb Farm in Tasmania and just saw all the herbs and all the plants and just fell in love with them all and got a real feel for them. And yeah, that experience was really a bit of a game changer too.
Was that part of college, that trip?
Yes, it was. We were very lucky. I think the teacher we had sort of recognised we were missing a whole aspect of the energetics and the actual plants, which felt kind of important. And so she organised a trip down there, which it's it's closed since it's non-operational now. So it feels like one of those moments where, we just got to scrape in there and see that. And I spent a lot of time down there. And yeah, that was amazing, really amazing.
Can you give us a little bit more about what happened down there, like for people who don't know what Pindari is and what you could have experienced?
Yeah, so it was a couple who set up this farm. He was an ex-pharmacist and kind of got to a point in that career of going, I'm not doing good anymore. I'm doing harm. How can I change this? And so adapted into medicinal herbs and just had this amazing self-sufficient biodynamic, you could say, it wasn't registered or anything, but farm with probably 150 to 200 medicinal herbs. And I remember the first day we were there, he got us to harvest the chamomile, and I just remember sobbing, sitting in these fields of chamomile, like just sobbing, just the nervous system sort of response to that. I was like, oh, okay, there's something in this. Yeah. It wasn't like bad sobbing, it was just release. Yeah, just release of all that sort of held tension of disconnection your whole life, and then here you are in this beautiful space with these people, intuitive and aware and in tune with nature and in tune with the plants and feeling into them, understanding the vibration of them and their properties, and just a whole new world. And yeah, I think this the recognition of and a sort of sense of safety in that and belonging as well. Just, yeah. And then we just explored all the plants and, I loved them all.
And at that point, did you were you exposed to like harvesting methods and using the herbs to make products and things?
Yes. So that's where I learnt to make products. He sort of grew the herbs, harvested the herbs, turned them into oils and tinctures, and then turned them into creams. And then they had a business selling creams. So we did everything from we planted some things, we harvested, he had this great old, I can't even remember what it was called, but like sort of hand winding chopper thing where we chop all the herbs down and pushing them. One of my favourite things ever is pushing herbs into jars or pushing herbs into bottles, and like the smells and all that and the feel of pushing them down further and further before you put in your alcohol and that sort of thing. So we did all of it. We pressed tinctures, we made essential oils. He had a distiller, made essential oils, and then we made creams. And yeah, I think that was the premise of the course, to learn sort of manufacturing from planting to manufacturing these products. Yeah.
And was that your first experience using medicinal herbs to make things?
No, it wasn't actually. Again, going back to my granddad, he had really bad cellulitis on his legs, and so before I'd been to Pindari, but I had started college, I had gotcha cola growing in my garden, and so I made this sludgy on the stovetop, like this sludgy gotcha cola and chickweed, and I don't know what else was in it. That was probably it. And then made him just with, I think I got a vitamin E based sort of cream, and made him this sludgy green, stinky sludgy green cream. And he was a good sport. He'd pack it on his legs and, ho hum, la la la. Yeah, so that was really my first experience of making stuff, but it was very rudimentary, and I didn't really know what I was doing then.
Yeah, but having a go and getting your hands dirty and really playing with the herbs, harvesting them, deciding, oh, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah. I always loved chopping. I love the finicky elements of it, like picking thyme leaves one by one. Like before I had children, of course, and actually had time to sit with things and do things like that. That's the part of it I really love, like the tiny bits and pieces, and chopping herbs. I love chopping herbs.
It's a meditative practice, isn't it?
Yes.
All the senses are involved.
Yeah. Very sensory, yeah.
And so that time in Tassie, was that towards the end of your college time?
I don't think so. I can't remember what year we went, but I went 3 years in a row. I just loved it. So I sort of interned the following 2 years on other courses. He needed a helper, and I was that person 2 consecutive years after our year of doing the course. So those 3 years, I think, spanned like the last 3 years of my college time.
Yeah. And after college, did you then dive straight into creating things with herbs?
Yes. I was... so as I was finishing college, I was launching Skinduna, which is my herbal skincare business. I kind of fell into that sort of accidentally in a way. Like I'd been to Pindari, absorbed all the knowledge, listened to all the tips and tricks and everything, and then a couple of friends were making some stuff, and I wasn't even part of that group that were making them. I just happened to be there. I think I was making apple crumble instead. And but I remember watching them and thinking, oh, I know how to do that. Having a Virgo rising, like forever, sort of judging everything that's going on. I remember thinking to myself, no, you don't do that there. No, that's not the next step. No, don't mix them together before you... Like I was having all these thoughts, and I was like, oh, I can do that. So I had to go at it next time, and I was like, oh yeah, this is good. This is good fun.
Yeah, it's coming back.
Yeah, that's how I got into doing Skinduna.
Yeah. So do you want to tell us about Mother's Love, that beautiful signature product of yours, and how that came about?
Yes. I had 2 different products. I had one called Cuts and Grazes and another one called Baby Bum. And they had good combinations in them, but I found I was always having to decide which one was the best combination. And so at some point I ditched them both and created Mother's Love. And that then covered everything. So Mother's Love has calendula, gotcha cola, St. John's wort, comfrey, and golden seal. And I did kind of, I guess, model it a little bit off the old Scarless Healer remedy before they took the comfrey out. But you need comfrey. So... I put comfrey in, and then because of the comfrey, I wanted a really strong antibacterial as well. So I was like, it's got to have golden seal. And yeah, plus the bush flowers. I use a lot of bush flowers in the products too, covering emotional, spiritual kind of layers of why we might need stuff. And that product... and also the name, I think I was trying to come up with something that would cover everything, and I was with my mum one day at the markets, and it was a really windy day, and I was trying to put the tablecloth on. I was on my own, and she wasn't there yet, and I was crying, and there was things flapping everywhere. And then my mum arrived, and just, you know, sort of like an angel, just took the other corners, and we got everything sorted. And I was like, oh yeah, mother's love, that's a great name for something that does everything. So yeah, that's kind of how the name came about. And then over time, of course, that's become very, very much more nuanced for my family, and then having my own children as well, becoming a mother. So I do get asked, what about father's love? But I'm a mother. So, you know. Yeah, but it is a really great product. So it just helped so many people with so many different things. Yeah.
Mm. And so that journey began before you were a mother?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yeah. So I sort of modelled the name off the feeling of my own mother. But now, yeah, that has a deeper meaning for me. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love how that's evolved for you, from really feeling like there was that real disconnect to the natural world to getting that sense of awe from being exposed to it in primary school, and then really diving deep into hands-on stuff down in Tassie to feel that confidence to be able to really create yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a process. Also, I did, maybe while I was at college, or before even, I'm not sure of the time frame. Yeah, it would have been while I was going through college. I did a few courses with, it's called nature philosophy, and you do deep immersion in nature. You go up onto a block of land where there's no dwelling built. There's like a few poles and a roof for a kitchen. And so you spend a week or however long you're there just deeply immersed in nature and learning primitive skills. And so part of that, again, is bush medicine, bush food. But also for me, I found a deep connection there to bush flowers on one of those courses. And yeah, that was a bit of an eye-opener too.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about how that journey's evolved? Because I know that you use vibrational essences and flower essences and have a really strong connection with both, and use them in your creams and also for your own health.
Yes. Yeah, so I was sort of already... I'd already done a few courses with Ian White, the founder of the Australian Bushflower Remedies, and I was interested in that, but I had a lot of questions about, I guess, the universal remedy pictures. Like, is this going to be the same for every person, or is this just is the intuition he's received just for him? That sort of thing, and also like, is this stuff even real? Like, am I just being like totally deceived here and totally naive? Like, you're selling me a bottle of nothing, basically. But then when I was on one of these nature philosophy courses, we were doing a lot of meditation, and that sort of process was to reconnect with the almost telepathic communication of those tribal cultures, and how we don't need verbal communication to have deep and meaningful connections with each other and with nature. And that was really profound for me. But we were meeting at this spot every morning, and throughout the week, these bush iris. The first day there was just a couple, and they were so full of prana and just so divine. I was absolutely sort of captivated by them, and I'd say, oh, look at the bush iris, and nobody else was really. Someone would be like, oh yeah, they're great. but nobody else was sort of so captivated by them as I was. But every day you'd go there and more and more and more were coming up until this whole section of what was grass when we got there was just these amazing purple bush iris. And at the same time throughout the week we were doing a series of meditation, and meditation is really different to the ones I'd done before. We were doing them in pairs, taking each other on journeys, like visually, and then describing what we'd experienced and just how accurately those two things met up. And it was just opening my whole world to how energetics work. And when I got home from that course, I looked up I was like, the bush iris was so amazing. I'm going to look up what they're for. And they were enhancing creative visualization during meditation. And I was like, okay, yes, these are universal. The intuition he's got is accurate. And I'm just being shown this as if like the universe has answered a big question that I had. And also, I read recently that was the first remedy they made, the bush iris. And they'd gone to make a different one, and it ended up that flower wasn't ready, but the bush iris was. And they said, in their meditations that night, it was particularly important that the bush iris was the first remedy because it opened the doorway to the other realms, kind of thing. And I was like, I just felt like, well, that was kind of my first bush flower too. That doesn't feel like a mistake either. So yeah, so after that I just trusted that all the other intuitions and the remedy pictures would be accurate, and I started to tune into them. I don't know why, but I tune into things, to the vibration of things, to numbers. I do numerology, to astrology, like the signs in astrology. I can get a real feel for them, and also people. And so, yeah, the same thing happens for me with the bush flowers. Like, there's a feeling. It's a feeling, yeah.
That's an amazing experience that you had there. Like the universe had said to you, hey, you don't need to have these doubts.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so from that, did you then, did you have a bit of a dabble in creating flower essences?
Yes, I did. I just love flowers. And I've always loved them, but I think once I started to feel them as well, the love for them just grew even more and more. And I've got a friend who lives sort of 4 hours west of Newcastle in a national park, and I spent a lot of time out there and found quite a lot of beautiful flowers, natives out there. And I guess I was on my own and just felt very in tune with nature and felt sort of guided in a way to make up a few essences. So yeah, I did a few out there, but one particular one that really stands out was a red 5 corners. So I think the Australian bushflowers might use a pink 5 corners, but I found this red one and it was just stunning. And just a really tiny little bush, but I'd walk up the track every day and like just kind of wait for the perfect prana point when the flowers are just like, whoa. And also I had some rose quartz, so I did a rose quartz and red 5 corners, and it's a really, really hard opening remedy. Love and safety and all that sort of thing. But you can make an essence of anything, really. Flowers or leaves or So it's a nice thing to do. I've really got to get back into it.
When you were making those ones out in the national park, do you tend to make them in situ, like in the environment, or do you tend to take them home and...
Oh no, absolutely in situ. I would. The only thing, the only sort of movement away from the plant is to find a good spot to capture enough sunlight. You sort of need about 6 hours. It doesn't really matter. You use what you get, but if I could find a spot that I could get a good 6 hours of sun on the bowl, then I'd put it there. But otherwise, no, right there with the... That's where it is. I feel like that's where it is, that's where it belongs, that's where its essence is, that's where all the power is. Yeah. I mean, you can take things away and do them at home, you'll still get a great result.
Yeah.
And I do that with herbs more, I think. I feel like herbs are a bit more robust in a way. They've got that physical aspect as well as just the energetic.
Yeah. You've made me just think about the way that I formulate my herbal tinctures. So there's that robustness of the physical herb going into a mix. And then I love to add the flower essences in on top for that, just peeling back the emotional layers so that, that the sturdiness of the liquid herb can work at its best when all those layers are peeled back.
Yeah. I always do that structure too. Herbs first, essence.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love too the way that when you're explaining to people what these flower essences are going to do, it can be someone who I think will be the most skeptical person, and they just connect in. You're speaking to me. That's exactly how I'm feeling. And, the sparks that come when they feel heard and know that there's things going in that are really specific to how they're feeling in that moment.
Yes. Yeah, and I think too, if you tune in to the herb or the essence, the person you're speaking with gets that vibration. So even if they are the most skeptical, it's still going in on that energetic kind of soul level, that recognition beyond the mind. And that's where we're working, isn't it?
That's
really.
Right. That's right. And I think too, when you're talking through a formula with someone like that, that healing's already started, before they even have a drop. They can feel the shifts starting to happen, and they're more likely then to connect with the mix that you've made and continue to take it.
Yeah. And they're already there, right? They're already in your room.
That's it.
Yeah.
So apart from using the essences in your products, how do you use those to support your health and that of your family?
Oh, look. That is an area that I'm just picking up the slack on kind of now. I think that, interesting we're doing the podcast on self-care, because for a really long time that's an area I completely forgot about. And in terms of the family, like acute respiratory, I'd always make up a mix. Everyone's got a chesty cough mix or something like that, but just general all the time kind of using that stuff, it's not something I think about, and only really since starting working here late last November. I moved my manufacturing space into the Lighthouse Health Hub. That's really when I started having herbal teas and herbal tonics, and for like the first time in years and years and years. And I've just made my sun up a mix, a flower essence mix, almost like sort of slapping myself in the head like, why didn't I think of this before? We did a little trip away, and the Guyamere lilies were just they were just amazing. And I was like, oh my God, every time we drove past, I'm like, look, the guy Mia's, like, to the point of like, it's like that Chevy Chase movie, look kids, there's Big Ben. They were like, yeah, the guy Mia's. But I'm like, oh my God, he totally needs Guy Mia, Lily. Like, absolutely, that would be perfect for him. And so, again, like, it's actually being near the real live plant that reminds me of using it.
Tell us about Guy Mia Lily.
So it's the way it grows, very straight, very, very long, tall, straight stalk, and then the beautiful, beautiful red, vibrant, sort of reddish pink flower head at the top, and they're just stunning. But it's really for holding yourself and humility, I guess, and empowerment, like when you're in a position of sort of power or rising up in a certain field, of just keeping that. I always think of the word humility, but there's also another aspect of it too. Is like the other side of that, I guess, is arrogance, and that's sort of more what I was thinking about for my son. Like he can be very dominating, and I just thought it might soften. I thought that remedy would soften him a little bit. So, yeah, I made us both, in essence, with that in it, for the opposite the opposite reasons, and hoping that could form a little bridge between us of working more harmoniously together.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. So I think this is a really good time now to step into the self-care aspect of it. And I'd love to explore what self-care means for you after having heard that it's really been something that's been in the background. And I imagine that motherhood has really played a big part in that self-care sitting back here. Can you put into words what self-care means to you?
Yes. I think it means, like, at its very core, is doing whatever, anything, that kind of reminds me of that still and silent, spacious place within, for me. So I think when I was younger, before I had kids, I do a lot of lying around in the sun and moving slowly through life, lots of relaxing. And I guess since having children, that's not really that big of an option. And coming out the other side of sort of losing all grasp of self-care, I feel like now, just in a moment in the day, if I can just go back within, take a deep breath, that sort of thing, create that silence and stillness, and sort of reset in a way. It is really great to get the time to do what I'd say, like, a big self-care thing, like, maybe have a massage or have a couple of hours on your own kind of thing. But without that option, just those moments of stillness within,
Finding that space on a busy day. So throughout the time when, self-care really has been on the back burner, what have you noticed in yourself that, may have been happening because of that? So has your body or your mind been saying, hey, come on, in recent times when it's, you have started to pull it back in, what have you started to listen to that, it has come to the fore a little bit more?
I guess something I've really noticed is a shift in I'm going to call it like the primary emotional response. So up until sort of recently when I've started reintroducing self-care, I feel very frustrated or angry quite a lot. Like completely disempowered is probably how I'd describe it. A feeling of being completely disempowered and drowning almost. And so, I tend to get easily frustrated, short with the kids, short with myself. And whereas now I notice I go more into vulnerability and softness and tears rather than frustrated, and it's much nicer. It's a much softer place, and I don't mind tears ever. So I'm happy to go with that.
Almost like you've dropped down from that elevated state a little bit.
Yeah, and I think my nervous system was in such fight for so long. That's definitely changed through just awareness and other tools, but also herbs. I feel like herbs have made a big difference. I've been, for probably the first time in my life, very compliant for me, which still isn't hitting the dosage target every day, but at least I'm taking them every day. I think I recognise the necessity of it.
Yeah, and throughout that time when you've been consistent, are there particular herbs that you've really been connecting with?
You're just kind of frozen, I can't hear you.
Over the time when you've been a little bit more consistent with the herbs, are there particular herbs that have really stood out and lifted you and you've connected and they've felt supportive?
Well, yeah, I can't think of any particular ones, but I know my first mix was very much geared towards the nervous system, and that felt really good. I remember taking it, and the feeling of taking it was like, oh, that's just going into all the cells. And then at some point for a couple of months, I felt like, I need a new mix. And I saw my naturopath and we made up a new mix, and she does muscle testing, and I needed a whole new mix. And so that was interesting for me too. It was like, oh wow, I could really feel that. And also that represents a big shift that's taken place, which I could also feel. So nothing particular, not one herb. I think first actually, Bethania was really, I felt like that was kind of really holding me there for a little while. Such a beautiful herb.
It is. Such a special one. Can we think back to, the last however long it's been when self-care has really been on the back burner? And what is it, do you think, were the main barriers for you in terms of it being something that was on the, in front of mind and something that you really felt like, okay, I need to be doing this? Like, what was it over that time that really kind of stood in your way?
Oh, having children. I've got a really small, slight frame, and I wouldn't say I'm like an earth mama or anything like that. I just found breastfeeding so depleting that I couldn't see outside of the next feed, sleep, I need to eat, hour and a half, 2 hour cycle for a really long time. And it just sort of, I guess, I found it really challenging physically, motherhood. Breastfeeding, not getting any sleep. Like, constitutionally, I would sleep. I'd go to bed at 9:30 at night and get up at 6:30 the next morning and sleep a lot. And then having children, there were days on end that I wouldn't sleep for, and I just got worn down really quickly, and I didn't know. People would be like, oh, go and have an appointment. And I'm like, I can't even pack a nappy bag to take my baby to my mum's for an hour, let alone think of booking an appointment. And that just went on probably a little bit too long, I think. And then we had an unexpected death in the family of my brother, and that was a whole nother level of annihilation, so to speak. Then I had another baby, and then she didn't sleep. She still doesn't sleep. She's 3.5. And so it was just compounded depletion and compounded nervous system overload. And I wasn't very good at seeing outside of it. Or getting outside of it. I think, once I started moving my manufacturing here and got in this little safety net of beautiful people who started holding me up. Holding me up, making me herbs, making me teas, that sort of thing. I started to I am in there. Yeah, right. So, making much more effort to self-care now.
And it sounds like it was a bit of a gradual realisation and step back towards yourself and finding that space and time, and that the physical movement of your business to a beautiful supportive hub played a big part in that.
Yeah, definitely. I think just getting out of the house, because I've run Skin Dinner the whole way through having children, but I did all the back end stuff from home, and so it just got in a bit of a rut, I think. Just got in a bit of the world got very small. Just me at work, and then me and the kids at home. Yeah.
In a bit of a cycle.
Yeah. So yes, getting out. I'm back. Here I am.
Yeah. So we've chatted a little bit about ways that you have started to care for yourself. Being consistent with the herbs and that helping you to, listen into that intuition, even to the point where you realised that these herbs weren't the right ones anymore, and you needed to have a bit of a shift and finding the time and the space in the day to drop into that stillness to connect with yourself. Are there any other ways that you've brought in to care for yourself, whether that's do you use your products on a daily basis as part of skin care and self-care?
Yes, I do. I use Mother's Love as a moisturiser, and the reason I use Mother's Love is because it doesn't have any essential oils in it, and I'm really, really sensitive to smell. So I like the smell of my products that I make, but I don't like them on me. So I use Mother's Love, and I'm about the least likely person to ever have a skincare business, to be honest. Before I started making Mother's Love, I never used anything on my skin at all. Like, I wash with soap. That's the extent of my cosmetic kind of routine. And also too, like, I think, that world of cosmetics and vanity and negative self-image and all of that is really not my thing at all. And I really, I sort of try to drive the purpose behind the skincare for me is the herbs, it is the healing. I don't make an anti-aging cream, I don't make an anti-wrinkle cream.
Yeah.
I love aging and I love wrinkles, like, you know, that's just part of life, part of the cycle of life. And so my range is not about that at all. It's really about the herbs and the healing and the essences and how we can support people to feel better about themselves and to get results so that their skin's not problematic for them, so they can get on with other great aspects of life.
So after the success of Mother's Love, where did the skincare range go? Like, what was the next evolution from there?
Well, I pretty much had the whole range straight away. Like, I just thought about what are the common things people need a topical preparation for. I haven't added a lot to the range for a really long time. I'm just doing a new product now, like a pure lanolin nipple balm on request. So that's exciting. But yeah, covering different bases. So the Mother's Love sort of covers everything that on the skin, but then I wanted a range to, like, one of my other favourite products is the Winter Poultice, and that is really, really great for respiratory things. It's expectorant, it's got immune herbs, it's got nervines. So yeah, it's really great for soothing and calming chesty coughs and helping as a mother who got no sleep and still doesn't get much, helping your children sleep when they're not well.
Yes, and that's a form of self-care in itself, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I imagine that people who buy your products are incorporating them into their self-care, you know, whether or not that's a ritual or whether or not it's just having that product there available to be able to heal themselves and care for themselves.
Yeah, I think people seem to really like the products, and actually a friend was just telling me this morning that she looked over on a bedside table and she's got 7 of my products and she's waiting for me to make this one so she can have 8.
Oh, how gorgeous. So what are some other areas that your products are supportive for?
Well, I do a product called Bend and Stretch, and it's really good for aches and pains, and particularly I've found over the years arthritis in the wrists and hands. So it's essentially like a liniment kind of thing. It's arnica, clove, cayenne, wintergreen, gotcha cola. Can't remember everything that's in it, but it's really geared towards anti-inflammatory kind of stuff.
When you're making your balms and your creams, what form are you using the herbs in?
I use them, ethanolic extracts.
Mm-hmm.
So in the process of making the creams, I have to reach a certain temperature to get the emulsion right, and then you have to cool it down enough to not crack the emulsion when you add the herbs, the ethanol, because that will just crack the emulsion. So at a high temperature, so cooling it down to a cool enough temperature to not crack the emulsion, but high enough still to evaporate off most of the alcohol. So yeah, so
that's interesting.
I mean, there'd still be trace alcohol in them, but I like to try and evaporate most of that off, and then just get left with the nice meaty herby bit. Yeah, but I've found that's the best. Basically, it's like putting a herb mix in a topical preparation. That's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
yeah, what would I use for this particular condition? This and this and this, and then put it in a mix and put it in a cream. Use it that way.
And earlier on, you mentioned that one of your favourite things to do is like shove things into a jar. Has there been time for that over recent years, you know, with motherhood, to play with things from the garden or that you've wildcrafted or?
Oh, look, I haven't wildcrafted for a long time, but I still make in my manufacturing space here. I still make some of the herbs up. I make golden seal because, well, it's hard to get, and I make the comfrey, and so yeah, I still get to push all of that into the jar. And I guess the vision is to make, as I get a bit more time, the kids get a bit older and actually also can be part of the process. They're sort of at that age where they want to help, but they're not quite the right type of help. A couple more years of, you know, doing more wildcrafting or doing more growing herbs and making herbs that way. It is just such a beautiful thing, and I think for me that's my connection to herbalism, is that real getting involved with the plants. Yeah.
And have you got herbs in a garden at the moment?
No, I do not.
Nurturing children is enough.
Yeah, I've got at my mum's, where I used to live, where I grew up. She's still in the same house I grew up in. I've got comfrey and aloe vera, because I still use both of those in the products today. So, but yeah, you know, there is a dream.
Yeah.
There is a bigger dream.
And that aloe vera,
I'm just surviving each day.
That aloe vera that you spoke of in your granddad's garden, was that something that he just happened to have in the garden, or was he using that at some point?
Yeah, he used to use it, and he never really spoke to me about it. He never really said much to me at all. He's 101, and
wow.
he's in a nursing home, and yeah, he hasn't been very coherent for a lot of years. But even before that, he didn't say a lot, or not particularly sharing with the kids any great passing on of knowledge. But I remember seeing him cut the aloe vera and like rubbing it on this and that on his skin. So yeah, he had hundreds of plants, like the whole, like one of those, like that was his thing. Just the whole backyard was full of aloe vera plants.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow. And how do you harvest and process the aloe vera now?
So I cut it. There's actually, I think I've got a video on my Instagram of me doing it. I cut it, I slice off the little sharp edges so that I don't get pierced by them. Slice off the skin. I like scrape off all the gel, that lovely snotty gel. It's so good. And then I blend, like I've got a little handheld mixer, and I just whiz it up, strain it, and then I add glycerin. So 1-to-1, a certified organic glycerin, and then I use it in a couple of the products I make. After sun care, obvious reasons.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. We've spoken about some ways that you care for yourself. And I was wondering if there was a special ritual or a recipe or something that you do that just really fills your cup.
Look, I've got to be really honest and say no.
Yeah, that's totally, yeah.
At this point in time, there isn't, except one thing. Actually, I was talking recently to a friend about our favourite tea, and there is something about a lemon ginger tea that really hits the spot for me. If I've had no sleep one night, or I've got a bit of a respiratory thing, that is just really something that I find deeply soothing into my cells. So that's about all I've got for you right now, Jess.
No, I completely understand that. That is the season that you are in.
Yeah.
We have one final question, which is always a difficult one for people who are connected to herbs to answer. But my question is, what plant do you have the deepest connection with, and why is that?
Oh, the deepest connection. I think I wrote down two, actually, on the bit of paper.
That's fine.
And one was the bush iris, but I've already told that story.
Yeah.
So my favourite herb, I don't know that it's the herb I have the deepest connection to, but my favourite, the one, if you were going to a desert island and you could take one herb, I'd take golden seal. I just think it's absolutely amazing herb, and also, like, having seen it grow down at Pindari Herb Farm, it's such a deeper appreciation for it. Just this network. So it kind of needs shade. It's growing under a sort of shade cloth, and this network of tiny roots, like this matting matrix of roots going right across the garden bed that I was in, and I'm just like, I think the way a plant grows just gives you so much information about how you can use it and what it's for, and it was sort of like that matrix of roots was forming, if over time left, forming like just one big golden seal, right? Like with no gaps. I mean, that's how we use it digestively, to heal the gut, take out all the gaps in the gut wall, seal that up, and also too the bitterness of it. For me, is so striking that if you think about what bacteria like to thrive and survive in, that sweet, warm, sort of wet environment, the golden seal is just so bitter. I always think of the little what are they called? I can't even think. The nasty cells.
Yeah.
those little cells, like running towards like their target, and they just get hit with golden seal and like running the other way, like you can't survive in there. And also the astringency of it. It's like, so it's bitter, it's dry, it's it's magical. And the colour, I just love it.
Yeah. And you would use it externally as well in your products.
Yes, I do. And also, like, some of the stories of putting straight golden seal on infections and just watching the results of that is fantastic. And I've always got golden seal on me somewhere. Not on my body, like in my possession. I carry it around.
Yeah, so. That's a beautiful story. I love the imagery of that growing habit and how that translates into that beautiful golden seal and how it protects and helps us that way.
Yeah, it was really insightful to see those roots growing.
Well, that brings us to the end of our conversation, Jess. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved your beautiful storytelling, and you've brought such imagery to this conversation. I think it's going to really shine through when people are listening.
Oh, thanks for having me. I love a good chat, so anytime.
Yeah. So we will provide some information about how people can access your beautiful products so that they can connect with you that way at the end of the show.
All right, thank you.
Beautiful. Lovely to have you.
You too, Jess. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm so glad you tuned into this episode of Self-Care with Herbs, a segment of the Elder Tree podcast. The Elder Tree is a non-profit dedicated to putting the medicine in the hands of the people through grassroots herbal education and earth skills, weaving a strong community of herbalists, healers and plant folk in Australia. If you'd like to dive a little deeper, you can head over to our Patreon, the Elder Tree Trove, to access special content from our podcast guests. I hope you found something in this episode that has inspired you to begin to lean into those plant allies and to experience your practice of self-care blossoming and blooming. I look forward to sharing more ways you can weave plant medicine into your days next month.